Sir Tyrcamber Rigamond rode north along the dusty road, listening to his companion complain. At least he listened with half an ear, since his companion never really shut up. In his 5 years as a Knight of the Order of Embers, one of the 5 Imperial orders sworn to the Emperor and the defence of the Frankish Empire, Tyrcamber had undertaken many strange and dangerous tasks, and had seen more battles than he could easily recall at this point. Listening to Sir Angaric Midraut ramble on and on was hardly the most unpleasant duty he had ever undertaken, though Tyrcamber did have to remind himself of that from time to time. Their party rode through the pine forests of the northeastern empire, the skyfire sullen and golden red. The vivid green of the forest made for a sharp contrast with the sheet of molten flame that rose overhead. Ahead, Tyrcamber saw the dark mass of clouds to the north, the skyfire making them glow like coals. Oh, he hoped that it wasn't about to rain again. Here in the northeastern empire it rained a lot. As urgent as their mission was, Tyrcamber found himself looking forward to arriving at Falconberg, if only for the pleasure of a roof over his head. Even a leaky roof would be better than another night spent in a sodden tent. A flicker of amusement went through him. 2 years ago, during Duke Ferriman Berengar's campaign against the Zeatomi Snakemen in Mordrek, Tyrcamber had been so hot and dry that he found himself missing the harsh, blizzard-choked winters of his native Chalons. Now, as he travelled through the rainy duchy of Ribaria, he found himself missing the harsh deserts of Mordrek. A peasant merchant had once told Tyrcamber that sheep always thought the grass was better on the other side of the meadow, and Tyrcamber was beginning to understand what that meant. Still, at least there were no horse-sized scorpions in Ribaria, or poisonous snakes, or venomous cacti that fired their needles at anything that drew too close. Though Ribaria had to contend with Meridak raiders coming out of the mountains, or the warriors of the cruel Jotun Miri Earls of the north. "What do you think?" said Sir Angaric. Said Tyrcamber. He rebuked himself, not for losing track of Angaric's ramblings. Angaric said so many things that there was no point in keeping track of them all, but for not watching his surroundings. Ribaria was safer than Mordrek or Chalons, true, but there was still the threat of Meridak or Jotun Miri attacks, or goblins for that matter. The umbral elves claimed a vague suzerainty over the forest of Corbelost, but the goblin tribes living in the forest often did as they pleased. "About the umbral elves," said Angaric. "I think they're dangerous and untrustworthy," said Tyrcamber. Angaric snorted. "About their government." Tyrcamber glanced at Sir Angaric. Most of the men of the Order of Embers were fit, but Angaric was paunchy and heavy-set, though not quite as fat as he had been when Tyrcamber had first met him after Duke Ferriman's campaign against the Zeatomi. Even Angaric's voracious love of food was no match for the rigours of life in the Order's service. He had a bushy black beard and close-cropped black hair, and shrewd blue eyes under a heavy brow and thick eyebrows. Angaric was a mediocre swordsman at best, and was more interested in books, food, and prostitutes than anything else. He was, however, a superb wizard. He wielded the 7 spells with great skill, able to create potent effects while using little magical power, making him far more resistant to the dangers of the Malison. Angaric could also use the secret spells of the Order of Embers with deadly skill. That made him a valuable asset to the Order, if one could endure Angaric's conversation. Tyrcamber didn't mind most of the time. Angaric vaguely reminded Tyrcamber of his friend Corswain Skuanar, who had died during the siege of Tonga 5 years past. Though Angaric was much, much smarter than Corswain had been, a fact that Angaric would have pointed out at every opportunity. The two of them would have fought constantly, and then gotten drunk together and visited the brothels. "The government of the umbral elves," said Tyrcamber. "They vote for their leaders, do they not, as the ancient Romans and Greeks did on old Earth?" "What's fascinating," said Angaric, "is how the umbral elves split off from the dark elves." "Is it?" said Tyrcamber, glancing up and down the column.